Hello, welcome to another Pauper video. So this one's going to be a little different. This is going to be my challenge run that I did last week. And I didn't, with most of my challenges, I never record them at the time. So I'm just going to be showing my play with post-commentary. So you... if you look at Pauper results regularly, you may realize that I wasn't on there. So shows that I didn't do too great, but I thought it'd make for a good video anyway. So the deck I decided to take was Green Black Initiative, which it's similar to one of the other decks that I made top 8 with in the initiative meta when it was, well, when all the initiative cards were still there. So the main thing was it just tried to Dark Ritual. It was mono black, and it tried to Dark Ritual out one of either the 4-drop or the 5-drop initiative creature, and then just roll that to victory. So this is the same sort of concept, except now that we don't have the 4 and 5-drop initiative creatures, I've just swapped to the 4-drop Thorn for Monarch and 5-drop in green, because in that deck I was splashing green as well, because Weather the Storm is just good against the red decks, and black usually doesn't have a chance against red decks otherwise. So this deck is actually the same shell I saw Medvedev. He placed, I think, top 16 in a Pauper Challenge the week before, and I thought, oh yeah, this looks pretty cool because it looks similar to the old deck I played. I changed a couple of cards, like he had 4 Witches, 4 Snuff Out, 4 Duress. I added in a couple of Cast Downs, and that might have been in actually. And he might have had a 3 that I've up to 4. I'm not entirely sure, but the deck base was mainly his idea. So, yeah, let's go have a quick run through the deck. So we're running all these fetch lands because we want to be able to turbo out an angler as quickly as possible. So we could run another Ash Barrens as well, but I've been happy enough with this. We got Quad Bajuka Bog because graveyard decks. Well, we can use the utility. We're mostly mono black, so we may as well just throw in some bogs. Good against Cycle Storm, good against Familiars, good against a couple of other, like Affinity as well. It's probably actually mainly there for Affinity because trying to beat a Blood Fountain is quite hard. Singleton Forest, it's pretty much all we need between the initiative and, well, we need the green to get the initiative, but between all these 7 fetches, we can get it pretty easy. A couple of bounce lands because playing a land, drawing cards, great. Ritual's the main point of the deck to try to bump out these pretty quickly. Duress has actually been pretty good. It's there to make sure these can't get removed, and just throws a spanner into the works of the opponent. It's pretty good. The removal suite to try to make sure we have the only creature in play, so we keep getting the things so they can't do combat damage to us. The Witches are mainly there for Fairies and Coregate because all they run is X1s and Elves, I guess. So they're there just to keep stopping them. Just another creature as well to help attack in, put counters on with the initiative, etc, etc. Card draw, Unexpected Fangs. So we need something against red game 1. This is the best thing that's available. Just put it on an Avenging Hunter at a Gomag, and that if you hit once, then you should be fine. Probably can go down to 2, but 3's been fine. Medvedev was running the whole 4. It seemed too many. I could be wrong. 3 Snuff Out. I feel like there's a lot of black decks, and the 4 life is rather painful. So I swap 1 to a Cast Down, but I can see the appeal of all 4. Just being able to play one of these and hold up a removal spell is pretty great. These 2 I've already talked about in depth. That's what the whole deck's about. And Gomag. So we can't rely just on these to win the game. We need something else big, and he's big and quick, so that's good. To the sideboard, main things are more Graveyard Hate for the same decks I mentioned for the Bajuka Bog, and Weather the Storm for the red decks, and then just a pile of random one-offs. So we got this for... So we got some more edicts for, like, Heroic Elves and... Heroic, Hexproof, and the blue-black Talarian Terror decks. They have issues against edicts. We got some sweepers for the decks that like to go wide. Stinkweed Imp's good against the Talarian Terror decks because it can't get snuffed out and it just kills whatever they try to attack with. Reaping the Graves for against like mono black or red white Boros, like grindy decks. We won't have enough creatures to outpace their removal, so I need to get them back. Another Kumbaj Witches for Core Gate. Another Unexpected Fangs for red decks. And another Duress just for whatever I feel like. So yeah, that's the deck. Hope you enjoy this slightly different content, and yeah, enjoy. Okay, so round 1, we're up against Diego on Affinity. He mulligans to 5, I keep an alright 7. Turn 1, we Duress, see cast down Mirror Enforcer, we take the Deadly Dispute. Turn 2, can't really do much, don't have double black for either the 2 drops, so we get the second black source. We draw a Duress on turn 3, so that lets us get rid of the cast down to make Gomag safe. So we get rid of that, cast a Kumbaj. They manage to draw a Deadly Dispute, so they draw 3 cards, which really helps on a Molder 5. Which manages to drop the Mirror Enforcer, but that's okay. Choose not to do the cast down, decide to cast the Gomag Angler now that I know they don't have the cast down. But they've got double Mirror Enforcer and a Makeshift Munitions. Decide to take the 4 because I don't want to block and then have the Gomag killed by the Makeshift Munitions. So now we've got the double removal spell. So we Edict, then we chain it, cast down. They decide to sack to do a damage. Get the land, attack for 6. And we know they've got Clark Clan Shaman in hand, which they decide to play. Don't know what the other card is. So now I make a misplay here, where I shoot the Clark Clan, and then they use the Kumbaj to ping my Gomag, and then do 3 damage, and sack the Clark Clan. So then there's 5 damage on the Gomag. Decide not to expect Unexpected Fangs, because they've still got 1 mana left to kill it. So I decide just to drop a 5/4, take the initiative, and hope to ride this to victory. Take the left path to put 2 counters on this. Bajuka Bog away their graveyard. And they can't stop the 7/6 with a 5 damage from trap coming next turn. Sideboard. Kumbaj isn't that great. They don't have anything that dies to it. So I take them out and bring in a Duress for the early card draw spells. Reaping the Graves because I just took out some creatures. So I need some more win conditions. And a couple of Geth Verdicts. Because their creatures are big. I also take out a Snuff Out because they've got a lot of burn and the life loss hurts a bit. Alright, so game 2. They get to keep a hand of 7 this time. My hand's alright. See double makeshift munitions, which you never want to see 2 of them because the second one's always redundant. So I decided to take away the Gal Blast. And then I've got the turn 2 Thorn, so I'm hoping to ride this to victory. Drawing an extra card every turn. Except things start to fall apart in a little bit. So cast down on the Gear Seeker was fine. Get rid of the card draw spell. So we're looking pretty good. Alright. Mirror Enforcer, that's fine. We drew the Edict for it. We can get rid of it. And then we get rid of the 2 creatures in their graveyard. So Blood Fountain isn't as effective. But Kenku comes down, which we did not see game 1. And they take away a Monarchy. And now we've used up all our removal spells. So now we cannot get rid of this flyer. And all we've got is things that go if they deal combat damage to us. So try to swing in, try to get the Monarchy back. They just block with Kenku, so I can't really do much else. I probably could have tried to dig for a removal spell, but I decided to just play the initiative, hope it's a 5/4 with trample, hope that it survives, and then be able to punch back and get both the initiative and the Monarchy and try to race. But they've drawn a Gal Blast, and they get rid of my 5/4. So now things are looking pretty grim. I play the Avenging Hunter. Forge up my Thorn so it survives the Mirror Enforcer. They block and kill, which isn't great, because now they've got an Edict. Because I had kept up the Dark Ritual plus the Unexpected Fangs in case they had another Gal Blast, but I wasn't expecting the Edict. And from there, now they've got both the Monarchy and the Initiative, which I can take both back if I draw an untapped land, which I didn't. But I just don't have the removal spell at this point to get rid of the flying creature. So we'll just keep going down the initiative, hit them for 5, hope that we can keep trying to race. Still keep up the Dark Ritual plus Fangs route if they draw the Gal Blast. But instead they draw a Blood Fountain, which means they've just got another free creature. And now I'm at 4 life, and I can't really do anything past the makeshift munitions. I get Unexpected Fangs on my Hunter to try and gain some life, which is what I have to do, or otherwise I'm just dead. Do that, take back both Initiative and the Monarchy. Make them lose one of the creatures. And then sign myself, which may have been a bad play there, because now they just have lethal on board with the Wellspring and the munitions, but at that point I was just trying to find a removal spell. So at that point I just concede and hope to go to game 2. So turn 2 Thorn didn't get me there. It was very disappointing. Still new to the deck, unsure what to sideboard, so I just shuffle some cards around. Didn't think I had enough creatures, didn't think I had enough things in my graveyard to have 4 Gomags, so that's why I took 1 out. And now we've got turn 2 Monarchy again, so, and they've mulliganed to 6. So we'll see if this works this time. See what they're working with. Got to get rid of the card draw spell, but they've also got a counter spell and a removal spell in the cast down, so we've got to keep an eye on that for the Gomag. But we've got the second duress to get rid of the removal spell, and then we can just Dark Ritual and Gomag to try to make a rather fast clock. Gear Seeker in. So they played the wrong one first. So now we take the initiative, and we're going to take the left path. So I thought about attacking, but I've got both the initiative and the Monarchy. I didn't want to just lose to a Gal Blast there on my Avenging Hunter, because he would have just like killed that and then taken both back, and then I may be just way behind if they had a blocker for the Gomag. So I do nothing, which was good. I put the Forge on the Avenging Hunter, and then they just take it. So now they have to take the initiative back, or otherwise they're just dead to trap. And they can't do anything. And we get there. The Cookie is usually on Mono Black Devotion, and by the looks of the Bajuka Bog, he is this time. We keep a reasonable 7. We duress them. The Suffocating Fumes is the only thing they've got I can duress, so that's why I take that. By the way, this I forgot to record this, so this is why this is a replay. So they go turn 2 witches into turn 3 rats. I turn 2 witches, they attack in with the rats. I decide to block, and if they trade, then I decide to trade off with the rats. They play a rager, draw a card. I draw a card. I duress them, but they don't have anything. And at this point, it's not looking too great. So this matchup's not fantastic because all their creatures like replace themselves, and the whole point of our deck is to just put one creature in and then remove all theirs to try to keep the initiative or the monarchy, and we just get steamrolled over. So I think about taking out the Kumbaj Witches because they don't really kill anything, but I just need creatures on the board to be able to keep the other ones alive. So I keep them in, and I take out the Unexpected Fangs because half the time my creatures aren't going to live. So I put in some more removal, put in the Reaping the Graves so I can actually get some like card advantage. No, I take out the Snuff Outs obviously because they're black. Mulligan a no-lander to an alright 6. I was going to put back the Pestilence, but realised that they've got too much removal, so the Gurmag's probably not that great, and I'd rather try to, like, if it's the same as last game, then just play a Pestilence and sweep the board of, like, 3 creatures, and that's the only way I'm going to actually get some advantage. So I Sign and Blood myself twice to get some cards. They Tutoring Rats me, so the start of the Inevitables come already. So that's 1 card down. Double Defile off the Duress, and then you can see a Thorn and a Grey Merchant in there as well. So they're going to drop the Thorn next turn no matter what I do, which is rough, but I can't really do anything about it. Which is exactly what they do. So at this point, like, I can't take the initiative because they've got the Defile in hand and they'll just take it away from me. So I play the Pestilence so they can either kill their creature to kill it or just go into the board, which they do with the Grey Merchant, so I'm just further down where I was. So now I have to Pestilence on their turn to kill all their creatures, and they're just not going to play anything. So my Pestilence dies, they draw a card, so they're up to 7 cards. And here I am with still 2 lands in hand, so let's duress them, see what they got. So there's still the 2 Defiles, a Chanter's Edict, triple Chittering Rats, and a Grey Merchant of Asphodel. So with no card draw and triple Chittering Rats, there is nothing I can do. And at this point I've pretty much resigned myself to a loss. So I do all I can, take the initiative, so then at least I can scry away the card I put on top with the Chittering Rats. And I've used up my 1 Pestilence, so I have no sweepers left. So let's just kill both creatures, take the Monarchy to give me some sense of hope. So now I've got both the initiative and the Monarchy. But they've still got the double Chittering Rats, so that card draw did nothing. But we're still sort of in it. Edict away the 1 rats, so there's still a rats left and the Grey Merchant. So even though we've got the Monarchy, it's been doing absolutely nothing because of the Chittering Rats. Alright. And then at this point, they've drawn 2 removal spells, one of which is a Tendril of Corruptions. So they managed to take the Monarchy and the initiative and put back a Grey Merchant. So now they've got 2 in hand. So it's pretty much gone, so I just concede. And now I'm 1-1. So round 3, we're up against Lost on Kato. We keep a reasonable 7. They play a red-white gate, so against some sort of Boros Bully or Boros Synth deck. Turn 2 Thraben Inspector. I decide to just turn 2 nothing, keep a cast down in case they decide to play a Core Sky Fisher. They just play a Wellspring, so I cycle an Ash Barrens, get the 1 of Forest in case I need it. Play a Swamp and just pass again, just to try to get the Sky Fisher. I've got 7 cards in hand, so I can't sign in blood. They Synthesizer, Glinthawk, and then Wellspring. So I cast down the Glinthawk. Now that I've used a card, I can sign myself. And then we'll chain his Edict as well. Try to clean the way so I can play the Monarch. They Skyfisher back their Synthesizer. Get a Munitions, they decide to play it. Sign myself, see the Snuff out, decide to use it because I'm got too many cards in hand. Oh, and it allows me to cast the Gomag Angler without exiling the Edict. And I thought it might live. I thought it might take a double burn spell. But it looks like it's taking a Munitions plus a Galvanic Blast. Which it does. Or it doesn't actually. It takes a Lightning Bolt and then double Munitions. Which is fine. It had to sacrifice 2 things to do it, but at least that clears the way so I can actually play the Thorn. But now as I said with the mono black matchup, this one's also not great because half the creatures draw cards. Nearly all of them actually, the Glinthawk and the Skyfisher. So every time I try to kill one, another one just comes and replaces itself. So I try to duress them, they Lightning Bolt me in the face, so now I'm down to 4. And they've got enough things to Munitions to kill me. So I have to Unexpected Fangs this just to gain a little bit of life. To try to get out of like Munitions plus Bolt range. I'm still within that actually. I just need to try to get out of Munitions range. But so all I gotta do is hope they don't use the Basilisk Gate or have a burn spell. So I'll take the 2. Go to 4. But they've got the Lightning Bolt, so I die. And because I died to a Bolt, I freak out and bring in a couple of Weathers just to help try to mitigate the burning to the face. I take out Unexpected Fangs because they seem to be killing all my creatures anyway. Keep an OK 7. It looks like it can cast the initiative on turn 3 if the coast is clear. Except they've got a Thraben Inspector. So I don't know if I'm game enough to play the Avenging Hunter in case they have double burn spell. So I take the safe way out and just edict the Thraben Inspector and hope to try to get to a point where they don't have any creatures. So I can safely put the Avenging Hunter down. So I'll sign myself, try to find another removal spell, which I do, but now I'm a mana shy to being able to do the Avenging Hunter plus the Snuff Out, so I just use, because next turn I can play the Avenging Hunter anyway, I decided to just play the Gomag Angler to try to apply some pressure, and play a creature first, so at least I have another blocker once I get the initiative rolling. So this is good, so now I've got 5 mana, the initiative and a removal spell. So this gets a land. Try to make them trade so I don't have to use a removal spell. They keep it around because they know if they get a Gal Blast they can kill my hunter and take it back. So they think for a little while. So I have a feeling they must have like double burn spell here and they're trying to decide if they should use it or not. because they don't want to, because they want to try to get that Skyfisher out of the exile zone. They don't want to lose it to the synthesizer. I don't believe they played a land drop either at this point. So they play the gate, play the Skyfisher, bounce the synthesizer. They find the burn spell they want. So it gets them the double burn spell to be able to take the initiative back. I choose not to kill it because it's just a Thraben Inspector. I'm hoping to try to draw another removal spell to be able to like kill both flyers, which I don't. We duress to see what they've got, which is 3 lands, the synthesizer and lightning bolt. But it's not looking good because all I've got's a pile of lands and a snuff out that I'm going to hard cast if they tried to Basilisk Gate anything. So they've got the Gelblast in hand, I think, and now they've got one in exile as well, without enough artifacts. Alright, so I decided to shoot the untapped Skyfisher. They sack it to draw some cards. So now I make them choose if they want to keep the initiative or keep their core Skyfisher. They choose to keep the initiative, which is probably the better idea. And yet they've got a Mortuary Mire to bring back the core Skyfisher. And then draw it again. And then now they've got a loop with the Mortuary Mire and the Skyfisher, so I can't really get past that. We'll see what they're working with again, because for some reason I keep drawing Duresses, in which all they've got's lands. But that doesn't really matter when they've got like infinite blockers. I could have tried to attack and play. Okay, and then for round 4, we're versing Gregor Rizal. We keep a pretty slow 7. Not knowing what they're on. It turns out they're on some sort of Boros Wildfire deck, which is pretty cool. We managed to draw the Dark Ritual to be able to turn 2 Monarch, which is good for these sort of mid-range battles. Got to hit the early Monarch or Initiative to try it, and then just try to leverage that. So, looks like they're on Boros Mardu Synth with Wildfire, something along those lines. So they ramped up, they've played the Wellspring, and then drawn the card off their core Skyfisher. So you could see they had 2 journeys in hand. There wasn't any point trying to take it away, and I saw the Glenhawk, so that's why I duressed away the Ica Wellspring to try to stop the value, because that's what killed us against mono red, was just the creatures that drew cards themselves. But we still have the removal to be able to kill the Glinthawk, to be able to keep our monarchy, and now they have no creatures left. So, but now we know that they've got 2. Oh, they've already used 1, so they've still got 1 Journey to Nowhere left in their hand. So we're gonna have to bait it out eventually. So, decide to play the Gomag now. They've drawn an Omen, which is not good. So now they just have infinite infinite things to soak up removal spells. Well, infinite core Skyfishers, I should say. So now that the second journey's gone, I decide to just dump another Gomag to try to keep the pressure on. Turns out they've drawn the 3rd journey, and then they Skyfisher, bringing back the Omen. But they decide to play the Omen, which I feel there is a mistake, and they've brought back the Glinthawk. So now I just snuff out the core Skyfisher, so now they can't loop the Omen with the Skyfisher anymore until they draw another one, which is great for us. So I just dump an Avenging Hunter, take the initiative, and then hope that it can get me there. I figured they'd have a removal spell, so I decide to not put the 2 counters on the Avenging Hunter. I instead instead try to just draw more cards, or go down the other path to scry to get more quality cards. Managed to play another hunter, which then allows me to get the 4/1 skeleton. I decide not to cycle the Ash Barons because I'm running low on basics. Play another hunter, which triggers the final chapter. There's only a Kumbaj Witches, so I pick that, play another one, just flood the board. So then even if they do like chain together a pile of Skyfishes and Synthesizers, then they can't really catch up. Which is sort of what they do. But they just concede to the pile of beaters on the ground after they can't find another creature. So Kumbaj Witches is not great in this either, but I still feel like I need some creatures. I just bring in more edicts like I usually do to try to get rid of their... You gotta kill the creatures and maintain a monarchy initiative, so in which I feel like the witches don't do that. And we cut the third fangs because they got a lot of removal. I'm not sure why I side out a Sign in Blood there. I think I was just confused as what to side out. Bring in the 4th duress just because cutting off spells is cutting off the bounce. The Synthesizer and Echo Wellsprings are good. So, and lo and behold, that's pretty much all they've got. So I choose to take away the Synthesizer because I got the 2nd duress, so I can get rid of both Synthesizers. They're the best things to get rid of because they draw on both enter and leave, so they're just great with the Glinthawks and the Skyfishes. They draw a Wildfire to be able to ramp, and then they drop the Wellspring, and then they've got the Skyfisher to bring it back, so now they've already drawn a card off this one, which is not great for that removal spell. And now they're just... Oh, as you can see in the thing down there, they misclicked. They were supposed to play the Wellspring first, so they had to bounce their land. So this one didn't draw a card, but it's still not great. So we'll Edict in response to get rid of... It'll save herself 2 life. And now they've got Monkey. So the question is, do I can't, like, play the Thorn because there's too many creatures. So I guess we just Edict, see what happens. Gets rid of the Monkey. And now we've got the instant speed Edict if we need it. What we've got to do is we're just trying to make the board clean. So then we can drop the Thorn and hopefully draw some cards and ride that to victory. Except they just seem to be drawing all the creatures that let them draw cards. And so they keep having cards in hand and we don't. Now they're back up to 2 creatures. We've got no removal in hand. So at this point I just give up and concede. I can play the Monarch. I can play the Thorn, but that just means they'll start drawing cards and there was no coming back from that position. And because of this, I've now decided to bring in the Pestilence, so then I actually have a chance of sweeping away like 2 or 3 creatures at once, just to try to get back that parity and card advantage. So we keep this 7. It needs a Dark Ritual to be good, but I mean there's a Duress and 2 removal spells, so just hopefully draw a couple more land and see how we go. So Deadly Dispute plus Wellspring. We've got to get rid of the Wellspring. They had a Glinthawk and a Skyfisher in the hand as well, so hopefully they don't draw any other sort of bounce rocks and then those creatures will be stuck in hand for a while. Draw another removal spell, which is handy, but we've got to start drawing some lands so then we can actually start casting spells. Miss a land drop, not great. They hit an Experimental Synthesizer, which isn't good because now they've activated all their creatures in hand, and we draw a Sign in Blood, use it on ourselves, but I just can't find the 3rd land. So I have to discard, which is not good. And from here I can just feel the game slipping away. So they just keep drawing like 2 cards off every creature, and here I am just stuck with 2 lands in play and not being able to stop this card advantage. So they've got 3 lands in hand, so if we cut off the synthesizer, then that stops any future creatures from getting cards. But they've got the Deadly Dispute, which they use on a land. So that I could have tried to kill their Skyfisher at that point, but they use a second Deadly Dispute, so I do it in response to that one. But now they're up to 9 cards in hand. But since they're almost tapped out, I decided to Thorn now. And hopefully I still got 2 removal spells, so I've just got to try to hope that they don't have that many more creatures, because they did have 3 lands in hand. So they get 2 creatures and kill mine, which isn't great. So I decide to just use both removal spells and then not cast the Gurmag, because I remember there's a Journey in their hand. Which maybe I should have played it, so at least it was gotten rid of. But I think I was trying to find just another creature at that point. So I can play an Avenging Hunter, but there isn't really any point because they've got the Journey. So I decided to play the Gurmag anyway, keeping up an Unexpected Fangs in case they decide to try to burn it out, but the Journey takes it away. And now I've lost the Monarchy. And they get rid of 2 of my Edicts in the graveyard. Because at this point I just concede, because I've been too far behind on lands for too long, and I just don't think I can catch back up. Okay, so round 5 is against Matthias. I mulligan to 6. I keep a turn 2 Thorn hand, which seems pretty good. Opens up with an island. This could be anything. Surprised there's no Spell Pierce, to be honest. That's what I was expecting. But the Thorn resolves after a Brainstorm. They might have foil, you never know, but it does resolve. And they're on some sort of Terror deck, so it looks like blue-black Terror. So the Bajuka Bogs will work pretty good here. It gets rid of a Deep Analysis in the graveyard. So now we just got to start finding removal spells for when they start dumping some 5/5s. So the opponent brainstorms, draw a land. I draw the removal spell that I'm after, so at least I can protect myself from 1/5/5. Just keep on chipping in. They mill themselves a bit. Kill my Death Toucher, play a Terror. I just Edict them so I don't have to pay the ward. And then I feel like I'm safe enough to play a Gurmag. They may have an Edict. But they don't at this point. So they drop 2 5/5s. So I've got the Snuff out for the Terror. I just need to pay 2 mana for it. And then I've got the Unexpected Fangs to try to trade with the Angler. So he kept up 2 blue, so I figured something was up. So I decided to play the Thorn, because it can trade with either as well. They counter it, and then I snuff out the Terror. I decide to attack with the Angler because I've got the Unexpected Fangs to try to gain the life back, and I've also got another Thorn to take the Monarchy if they manage to remove my Angler. So they keep up 2 blue again, so I'm expecting a counterspell, so I use the Duress, get rid of the Unexpected Fangs, so now I know I'm free to attack in, and I'll just use my Unexpected Fangs to trade with theirs. Then I gain a pile of life, I exile their graveyard. And then they don't attack, which tells me that they've got either Unexpected Fangs or an Agony Warp. So I just attempt to kill their Angler so I can get in. They consider twice, keeping the card on top both times. The cast down resolves though, and I manage to swing in, take the Monarchy back. Decide to play the Thorn anyway, so that protects me against Edict fodder. They mill, they figure out what they want to do. They don't play a creature, which is interesting. They decide to Agony Warp on my turn, so then they, gain themselves 3 more life by neg-3ing the Gomag Angler. I still swing in for 3. I get the initiative, which gives me a little bit more of a clock, but it opens up to snuff out. So I decide to go the right path to draw more cards in case they manage to like get a really great hand, because I could just try to go trap and hit them for 5. But I scry, get some good cards, play 2 creatures. They cast almost a full-costed Gomag Angler. I just Edict, and then they can't stop my Gomag, and they concede. So for this, you just want more Edicts. So I'll bring in both the Edicts. I take out the Witches again, because, I mean, pinging 5/5s isn't that great. Also bring in the Spell Bombs, because cutting off... they're heavily based on their graveyard as to if their creatures are cheap. So if you keep cutting the graveyard off, then they have to pay 7 mana for their creatures. Alright, so on to game 2. This hand seems reasonable, so we'll keep it. Got 2 removal spells. So I just try to filter the deck from land because I've drawn enough already. I get a Swamp. I've got the second Ash Barrens if I need the green source. Still can't do anything, just hold up removal and the Ash Barrens. I'll get the green source this time. All they're doing is sifting through their deck, preparing to dump a pile of 5/5s. I choose not... They've got mana open, so I choose not to Dark Ritual into either Initiative or Monarchy, because I'm scared of what might happen. They dump a pile of cards into their graveyard. Then they Terror and Deep Analysis flashback. I decide to make them sack in response. See if they have the Spell Pierce. They don't, which is nice. And then they go Mag. So now this is good. They're tapped out. So that means we can Dark Ritual into both a removal spell and the Monarchy. But just when you think it's that easy, they take the Monarchy back. But it doesn't really matter because we've got another removal spell. So we take it back, and then we cast a Gomag to try to keep the pressure on. We'll see how many 5/5s they try to play this time. Dig a little deeper. Cast a Gomag. Alright, so we don't have a removal spell at this point in time. So I think to myself, will I have a pile of removal spells? Should I play the Avenging Hunter? And then just keep everything back to block? That's what I do. So I get 2 lots of value every turn. I choose not to attack in case they have like 1 or 2 removal spells. Because if I lose both of those, then it's going to be hard for me to get them back. Drop another 5/5. Snuff out my non-black creature. And attack in. I decided to just trade with the Death Toucher. And then they Edict away. So that's what I was afraid of. But I've still got, like, I've got an Edict. And I'm drawing a card every turn. I decide to go down the path that lets me scry. I duress them to try to get rid of the counterspell. Apparently they've got 2. So I'll still have to soak up 1. Try to Edict. Of course they're going to counter it. But now that they've got pretty much nothing, I decide to go Mag. I'll keep the Thorn back just in case if they hit me, so at least then I can get the Monarchy back. But I've got 7 mana, so now I can Edict next turn if I need to. But I trade off anyway. So if they had the +1/+1 lifelink, then I could at least still kill it anyway. Instead they trade off, play another Gomag. Every now and then I look at their graveyard to see how many threats they've got left, because it looks like all they're playing is 5/5s. They're not playing any Edict fodder, which is nice. So they crack a Spell Bomb. It's another Terror, which I think there's only one left. They've only got 13 cards left in their library. So we just Edict it away. They counter it. I've got my treasure token over there, so I just decide to Edict again. Just make sure I keep my 2 cards coming to turn. They get the skeleton away. I hit the last part of the dungeon, get an Avenging Hunter, which triggers again, so it triggers the dungeon to get me the extra card. Play the Thorn, just so I have a creature for Edict fodder. They draw some cards of a Deep Analysis. I put the counters on the Thorn because I am expecting a Snuff Out, which is there. And they brainstorm to try to see if they can do anything. Abajuka Bog away their graveyard. And with only 8 cards left in their deck and 1 card in hand, they can scoop up the game. Okay, on to the final round, in which I also forgot to record, so this is also going to be a replay. A 2-land hand, which could possibly get turn 2 Monarchy if I hit a untapped land, which I do. So with that I get the Forest. So then I can Avenging Hunter if I need to. They're on Tron, so this is all about card advantage. So I just dump the turn 2 Thorn and am going to try to keep that for as long as possible. So turn 3 Muldrifter, which is pretty good. I got turn 3 Tron. So I get rid of the Muldrifter so they can't take away the Monarchy. I exile it away. Play a Seagate Oracle. They get another land. So they're constrained on coloured mana at this point because they only had the Signet. So now they've got 2 blue sources and 1 white source. I decide to keep all my blockers back. Play another Muldrifter. Still only 2 coloured sources. Play a Stonehorn so I can't attack in. And I don't have removal for the Muldrifter. So it gets in, it takes both the Monarchy and the Initiative from me. So they get another coloured source, which is not good. And they're on the Initiative as well. So they trickle down and scry 2. I decide to use up my mana wisely, put some counters on the Avenging Hunter, so then it can help push through. I attempt to Edict, they unwind, which isn't good, because now they get a pile of mana back. I attack with the 2 creatures that can help get through. I do a nice little tricky thing here, where I try to put a 1/1 counter on it. They counter it, but then I use the Kumbaj Witches to do 1 damage extra, so the trample damage goes over, so I can hit and get both the Monarchy and Initiative back. Doesn't really matter though, because they just hit me back with the Muldrifter and then Stonehorn, so I can't attack in. And then they trickle down on the Monarchy again. And now they've got a pile of coloured mana, and it's going to be hard for me to get through. So just play the Thorn, exile their graveyard, and attempt to kill the Muldrifter, which I should have done before I exiled their graveyard, but they have the Ephemerate for it, but I have the Snuff Out to stop that. So, and I draw a Snuff Out from the Monarchy, which is great. So now, because all I've got to do is try to stop these Stonehorns from blocking me from combat, because I've got a big creature in the Avenging Hunter. So they have an Ephemerate. I managed to kill, use the Snuff Out, so now I can attack in. I decide to Edict to try to get rid of some of this toughness, so I can actually get across and get the Initiative back. They let everything through, which is a little strange. I would have thought they'd try to soak up a little, but I guess they want their creatures. They try and Ghostly Flicker. I can't do anything about it, so I let it happen. So now they've got their loop with Ghostly Flicker going, so they're just triggering down the dungeon with every blue mana that they've got. But they've only got 3, which was the main problem. So here they try to... So I just attack with everything except the witches. And the replay bugs out here, but what happens is they double block the skeleton. So they take 8. I then ping them for 2 with the Kumbaj witches and try to sign and blood them. And it just resolves and they die. So they weren't expecting the sign in blood. I don't have any sideboard footage. So what I believe I took out, I just believe I took out all 3 fangs and put in 2 spell bombs for Graveyard Hate and another duress. And that was it. So on to game 2. Mulligan away a pretty bad 7 and hope to draw a land, which we do. I get a duress. Take away the impulse because all they had was land and expedition maps. And then I draw the bounce land, which lets me play a turn 3 initiative thanks to Dark Ritual in hand. So now we're on a nice quick clock. This is like the old Turbo Initiative style games, where it's just like drop a very big creature and then just run the left path as quickly as possible. So I put 2 Crowners on my Avenging Hunter, attack in, they don't block. So down to 14. I play the Thorn, so now I've got both card advantage engines going. And then they take 5, down to 9. So now and then make them sack something, so they have to take some more trample damage. I say GG because we get the epic combo of just hitting them with a pile of stuff and then signing blooding them at the end. So yeah, good games. So welcome back for the final recap. I ended up going 3-3 overall, as you can see. I ended up with the worst 3-3 breakers out of everyone, so I ended up in 39th. So I didn't end up top 32 and didn't get my money back, but that's fine. The deck picked up... The deck's very luck-based, so it relies way too much on trying to get one of these out, like on turn 2 or turn 3. So I feel like... And I played against Mardu Synth decks, and I don't feel like this is good against Mardu Synth. I feel it's good against like other decks in the meta, like this is good against Gates, like Core Gate, and we did pretty well against Blue-Black Terror, which is another big meta player. We didn't play against any burn, so we didn't get to use any of the things in the sideboard. But if there's a lot of Blue-Black Terror, I feel like this is a good deck. I guess it depends on what sort of build they're running. If they're running some with Stormbound Geist in the board, this may be a hell of a lot worse because you can't kill them. So overall, the deck's okay. I don't know if I'm going to run it again. I'll definitely try to fix up the sideboard. There's way too many one-offs here that I didn't really use. I feel like the Witches could be something better, but I am unsure. There needs to be something that sort of gets card advantage that's not these two. So then you have a chance against the other mid-range decks. So, unsure what that is. I was happy enough to play that and see where it led. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. A bit different for me. Chopped a lot of audio. We'll see how bad it turns out. Let me know if you liked it. I can do another one on one of my future challenges if you like. Alright, bye.